You're
Okay.
on.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today is July 15th. This is the meeting of the Northborough Planning Board. We are fully remote tonight, and it is now 6:05. First on the agenda is the discussion of our letter to DCAM. And Lori and I actually met with DCAM over the past month, and we talked to Executive Office of Housing today. But we could do a little update on that. There really wasn't anything new, but they did verify that we could do 4 units per acre maximum. Like and I'm trying to think. That was really the only thing. And Lori can work out a development agreement with the developer. So it sounds like it's going to go up for auction September 10th. And then a developer is going to bid on it. There's going to be a deed for 4 units per acre of housing. And then Lori can work on a development agreement with the developer. But we still have our letter to send with our comments for July 18th. And I had some changes and Carter had some changes. Do you want me to bring that letter up?
I already have it.
Okay, so you're gonna share it.
Yep.
I did notice one thing, Carter, you mentioned about the select board and the ZBA, and I was thinking of crossing it off too. Because if the ZBA wasn't gonna write their own letter, they were thinking about signing on ours and the select board too. But the select board met last night and they're gonna do their own letter.
Okay.
So this one would just be from the planning board unless, did Paul reach out to you, Lori, about, do they have any comments?
Oh, oh, okay. I lost a letter, but I see that I'm still sharing it. I have not heard from him since I returned from vacation. I did watch the meeting and the ZBA meeting that they had. And they did briefly discuss the letter. They did discuss that the planning board was going forward with the letter. I guess what I could do is, once we finalize the letter, I could share it with the membership and ask them if they want to be included within the letter or not.
Okay. All right. So I agreed Carter will have the right date at the top.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, Lori, for September 2025, do we do September 10th? That's the date they told us it was gonna go to auction. Or we
Yeah,
could just leave it September 2025.
either way, I think is fine.
Yep. And for the part that's highlighted, I would remove the select board because I think Julianne is gonna meet with Steph and probably talk to you tomorrow, and they're gonna draft their own letter.
Okay.
And then the next changes are Carter's. I don't know if you want to talk to them, Carter, or
Sure. I mean, well, the first one is just changing the most appropriate to an appropriate, only because I can think of maybe that there could be a better use of that property, but um,
I agree with that. I
again,
think it
yeah.
sounds good. What about
Um,
you, Bill? Are you okay with that?
Yeah. No, I looked over all the changes. They all seemed fine.
the other, I mean, yeah. So then the other kind of part of that long changes was I was just expressing, I guess, a different opinion of that I thought we should emphasize that we want some of that property to be some kind of common open space, as well as I think we had a little bit of difference of opinion on the kinds of housing that we wanted on the property. I know we had discussed at the previous meeting, there were some of us, and I think the select board, when they were talking about it, also had different ideas. So, some people wanted more townhouses or apartments or triplexes or duplexes. Others just wanted the single family kind of starter home housing. So I made an edit to say what I thought, but I'm open to hearing what everyone else thinks.
I like the sentence. I'm not sure about the apartments,
Mhm.
just because I know we were trying to get, well, at least I was too, that maybe that's my own opinion, some ownership for
Mhm.
I
new
think
home
it's
buyers.
important to note that we don't regulate ownership. So I don't think we should say whether they're ownership or apartments
Mhm.
because we have no say. They
So-
could
Or-
initially be approved as rentals and then condoized with no further approval from the town. And then the reverse is also true.
I mean, I guess multifamily rather than apartments might have been more precise.
Yeah, I like the sentence, given Northborough's need for inexpensive housing
Mhm.
to limit sprawl, encourage sustainable development practices, although we don't really have that defined, so I don't know what
Yeah.
they'll think we mean by sustainable. We can say we are happy to work with the future developer on a project and just stop it at a project. I don't know.
Do we say small multifamily developments? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
I don't know if I want to even go into small multifamily. I'd like to see what they bring forward, like,
Well,
'cause I know-
anything above 2 units is considered a multifamily.
right.
So if it's a triplex, that's still a multifamily.
I thought it'd be
If
great
it's
to have a mix of single family duplexes, multifamily.
If it's multiple duplexes on a lot, then that's considered multifamily.
Mhm.
Really quick, where it says, given Northborough's need for, instead of using inexpensive, I don't know if I like that word. What about affordable housing?
The
Adults.
only reason why I picked inexpensive as opposed to affordable was to say not specifically like the legally set aside affordable housing, but in including that and also just housing that would not be legally listed as such, but is still inexpensive for most people.
The word inexpensive makes me think of slums,
Okay.
right? That's why I don't necessarily like that word there, but maybe just the
Maybe-
need for housing for young adults, families, and empty
Mhm.
nesters,
Or-
right?
A diversity of affordable housing might.
I like Bill's suggestion of just striking that and just say housing for young adults,
Okay.
families, empty nesters, etc. I think it's kind of implied.
Okay.
I question the 25 units, because of course, we're talking about a 5.4 acre parcel.
Mhm.
So 25 units is more than 4 units per acre.
The one thing I was just thinking about because it would be what, like 20 units per acre would be if it's, or not 20 units per acre, 20
like
units on the
22,
property.
I suppose, 22
Okay.
units.
The only thing I was thinking of was based on the number of it to just like, I think if it's, I'm trying to don't have the math exactly, but the 15% to make it so it would be 4 affordable units as opposed to 3.
Well, they are required to round up.
Yeah. I just know, I think is it 20 that would be 15% of 20 is 3. So if it's more, it would be more than 20, I guess, would be the.
More than 20, they'd round up. The state's also looking in, they're doing a feasibility study on that parcel. So we
Mhm.
might even be limited to 10%. If they find that 15% isn't feasible for this parcel, they're gonna let us know in advance, so.
Okay.
But I think anything over 20 would round up.
So if it's, yeah, so if it's 22 units, so that's 4 units per acre, then that would equal 22 units. And then 15% of that is 3.3, which would round up to 4. So you'd have 18 market rate and 4 affordable.
Okay.
But then there is also that density bonus in the inclusionary zoning bylaw, but then again, it's based on the zoning calculation, which is 2 units per acre. So you're already getting a density bonus here by doing 4 units per acre.
Okay.
I would definitely leave it just to the 4 units per acre right now because the developer could come forward and try to work out, that they want more.
So you
Okay.
want me to strike 25 and put 22?
Well, I would just leave it at the 4 per acre. I don't think we have to give them a number.
Or
Calculate
yeah,
the
just
number for them.
yeah, just eliminate the number. Just we prefer the or construction of housing units.
See, I don't know if I want to go into detail with the small
Or-
apartments, I don't know. I kind of like your sentence, Lori, with the given the significant unmet local demand too. Can you just move it up so I can compare the two?
Yeah. Can you see
'Cause
it
I
now?
think it listed 4 units per acre without giving a total.
So what do you want me to do?
I don't know. I'm torn. I like the first sentence that he had, but I like this one too. I like his first, talking about the sprawl, but I also like the way it was worded here.
I think with that sentence that Lori wrote, because like we could say something more, I guess, neutral as to the preference of what kind of housing gets built, but still like expressing that, there is local demand that would likely make small to medium sized single family homes attractive, while townhouses, small apartment buildings might, allow for, might be attractive to other people and might allow more open space on the property, or, expressing kind of that there's a demand for different things and what we see as the potential benefits of each of those without expressing a preference.
Well, townhouses are also multifamily, so
Yeah.
those could be either ownership or renter.
Yeah, I think we need to also be careful of, um, we already have zoning in this area, right? We already have these type of things already marked out. And if we start saying, well, we want this instead, I don't want to get in the position of now we're spot zoning.
Well,
Right.
remember our inclusionary zoning bylaw already allows this type of single family homes, duplexes, townhouses, and cottages
Yeah.
in this
Right.
district.
But I'm thinking more along the lines of like the common open space,
Mhm.
right? We already have a zoning for that. So, I don't know that we, yes, we have a preference, obviously, but I don't know that, that's only a preference. It's not, we can't deny it based on that either.
Yeah, because right now our zoning does not require common open space.
Mhm.
Right.
I think it's good for Lori to know when she works with the developer, maybe they want a couple extra units and she could talk about the common open space because she knows, the way we were leaning, like if you want a common open space with a common garden area, that could be something when she meets with him,
Right.
'cause-
No, no, I completely agree. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Oh, no, I
My
agree.
concern is where you're saying here, adheres to the following minimum density and dimensional requirements.
Yep.
Right? I don't know that we can say the word requirements, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
I mean, I don't want to say wishes either, but something
Mhm.
along that line, requests, right? Rather than requirements, because again, we can't make these, we can make these requests, but we can't make them a requirement without doing spot zoning.
We could just say we're happy to work with the future developer. I mean, we're happy to listen to whatever he brings forth.
Or
But
should-
yeah,
Well, I mean, could we just like list what the current zoning requirements are and then note where that's being modified and then note what we would also ask or like what we would want?
I think that's what Lori was doing with the bullets.
Right.
Yeah. But again, it's different than saying these are the requirements that we're gonna be expecting, as opposed to separating out, well, this is what would be required if you weren't kind of exempt from the zoning because you're with the state. And then this is how changes, and then this is what else we would like to see. To more clarify, I guess, that those are differences as opposed to lumping them into one set of bullet points.
Well,
What do you
instead of
mean?
saying minimum, you could say that maximizes open space and adheres to the following density and dimensional recommendations.
Right.
So the bullets down below, I just wanted to be clear that in a condo development scenario, the minimum distance between buildings is currently 20 feet. If they're on separate lots though, then there are side setbacks, which says, the building has to be 15 feet from each lot line. So that would be 30 feet between buildings. So we're not really, so the minimum distance between buildings at 20 feet really isn't giving them relief because that's the current requirement in a condo situation.
Yeah. Well, I think part of this letter, we do want to let them know what is allowed now. But I do think the majority of what's going to be worked out will be worked out after, but after they meet with Lori, even though
So
Alright.
what I could do in that, with the parentheses where it says current zoning allows a minimum distance of 20 feet between buildings in a condo development
Mhm.
and
30 feet between
feet in
buildings.
a subdivision.
Okay. What about the first bullet, though? I think we'd want to leave that as 4 dwellings per acre versus telling them 25.
I think so as well, because that's sort of how we talk to contractors all the time, right? We don't talk about how many maximum acres or how many maximum units. We always talk about how many per acre. So
Mhm.
I think leaving it to that same number, I think is fine.
Okay.
And then do you want to write exceeding current zoning, or just say current zoning allows 2 dwellings units per acre?
Well, yeah, that was more if we were going to do it based on the number of units as opposed to the units per acre.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go back to the current
Yeah.
zoning.
Yep.
Okay, and then Lori's gonna change the second bullet. The minimum front setback, I think Carter, you wanted to drop it to 15 feet, maybe Lori did, and I was just listening what we have like right now. But I just felt like if the developer works out a development agreement, then plus inclusionary zoning, we can change all those setbacks.
Well, I
So
guess
I
my,
wasn't gonna put 15 feet right away. I was thinking the developer would come and work on that with Lori and the board.
Well, what I could do in that case is just eliminate that bullet. So what I envision that those bullets would be
Mhm.
kind of like exceptions to what our current zoning is.
Right.
So if
I
we're,
just felt like if there are places where they want 10%, because 10 feet, because if you look at the bottom, if they do the inclusionary zoning, we can work with what fits the best in that location,
yeah,
whether it's 15 feet, 10 feet, 30 feet. I think the inclusionary zoning allows some wiggle room.
Right, but I think to Lori's point as well, right? What we're sort of doing is we're sort of setting the bar where we think it is. If
Mhm.
they want more of that, right? If they want to go to 10 feet, well, great. What are you going to give us? Right? What
Right.
are we going to get more common open space as part as for giving you that 10 feet, right? But I think, to Lori's point, we sort of want to set where we think the bar is to start. And then, it's all negotiation after that.
Then I would leave the bar at what we have right now. And that's what the select board was saying. I didn't listen Monday night, but when I listened on the 2 weeks ago, when they first discussed the letter, they're like, why not just stick with everybody in RC has to meet these requirements. We say, okay, we'll agree to the maximum density of 4 dwelling units per acre. That's what the state says we have to do. But then you have to meet all of our other dimensional requirements unless we work out, a deal.
Right.
I guess my only kind of thought on that is if we're going to kind of be just throwing away some of the zoning rules anyways, do the other requirements make sense without, the requirements are assuming a certain density, and other requirements, but if we're throwing that away anyways, I mean, the 30-foot setback doesn't seem like the hill to die on with it, so it didn't seem like it made sense to be, oh, well, you can do this, but you need to make sure you follow the setback rule that of the RC district.
I just felt like we weren't really dying on any hills. Like, I've just felt
Yeah.
like I'd like to see what they come to us with. And maybe they'll say 15, maybe they'll say 25. I just want to see what looks the best
So I
or
mean, I
works the
guess
best.
in that case, I mean, because we're open, I guess, to working with it, and yeah, I guess to Bill's previous point of not putting the word requirements there, that we're not really, it, it doesn't seem like the dimensional requirements are really something we're trying to insist that any project follow on. We're more just letting them know this is what the rules currently say, but those rules, I guess, are flexible with this kind of project.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think
okay, sorry.
oh, sorry, but when we met with DCAM, they did want to know what our current dimensional is, so the developer
Okay.
would know. And I think if you
Okay.
go to the bottom of this email, it does say, can you go to the bottom, Lori, for a second? So if we say what our setbacks are right now, then at the bottom, it talks about it with our inclusionary zoning. We can make provisions on the density and dimensional requirements, the types. So I thought maybe we should just have bullets on what we require right now, but also say that,
Mhm.
you know, with the inclusionary zoning, we can also make exceptions,
Right.
but not set numbers on the exceptions.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't,
Yeah.
that I want to limit them. I just want to let them do
Yeah.
the design and the best that they can.
Well, but I think, putting the limits as well, the other part to that shows how far we're willing to go. Right? it's sort of like, in any negotiation, when you come up and you say, oh, well, I know it's 30, but I want 5, right? That's sort of insulting, right? You don't want to insult somebody either, right? And so, sort of showing them that, hey, we're willing to come down this far, right? And how far we're willing to come down. Now, if they come in and they say they want 10, okay, well, we can talk, but we're okay with 15, given that, unfortunately, we don't have much of a choice, right?
Mhm.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
you do have a choice. All we have to do is allow 4 units per acre, and then it's up to them to come with us with a design. So we do have a choice. Like, I guess it's like going in to buy a car. You don't say, well, I'm willing to pay full price minus $200. You say, okay, what can we do here? How can we work this? I feel like when Lori works with the developer, it'll be a give and take versus, making the list or in advance. Like they're not asking for that.
So I got a suggestion. How about we go with Amy's suggestion that says list our current requirements for density? And then, I know Carter really wants open space. So what we can say in that last paragraph is we're willing to negotiate all of the dimensional requirements. If you are willing to set aside at least 35% might be a bridge too far because there's that inclusionary zoning requirement for affordable housing. But just say maybe 25%. So in order to get the 25% set aside for open space, you're willing to go much more cluster. Because right now we don't require any open space at all.
Yeah.
In a typical subdivision. So we're asking for something that we currently don't require. So that is a gift to the town. So in order to get that gift, there has to be that give and take.
Mhm.
I
So
thought your
there's
list
already
above
that.
it says 20% open space.
Yeah, that was my suggestion for a minimum discussion. And then he upped it to 35%. So right now the requirement is 0.
You don't have to have any open space on your lot. Well, there's setbacks.
Not for the RC district. We have a lot coverage requirement.
What is that right now?
Lot coverage is 30%.
Mm-hmm. So the rest of it would be open space pretty much. If you can't cover more than
No.
70.
Not necessarily. So lot coverage is structures only. It doesn't include like patios, swimming pools, driveways, walkways.
parking spots.
Yep.
I would think he would not want to pave a whole lot, but. So to go from 20 to 25%, we're gonna do what?
No, to go
So-
from 0 to 25%.
Yeah, but they're really not gonna pave the whole housing lot. Like, I don't know, after you do a couple applications, you see how little 5% is. That's like, it would be so small. I don't know. I just feel like as I would rather see what they're gonna come forth with versus
Yeah.
making negotiations in advance.
So the negotiation is about common open space. So they would have open space because of course they're required to adhere to setbacks. So usually what happens in open space communities is you forego some of your dimensional requirements
Mhm.
so that they can get, so they can cluster enough so that you can have common open space, which is generally better from a habitat and an ecosystem and even like a recreation perspective. So instead of having, well, in this case, we're only talking about 10,000 square foot lots. So these are relatively small lots to begin with, but possibly they'd be able to go down to, say, 5,000 square foot lots. And in exchange, you get an area of common open space that everybody could enjoy. If that's important to you. If it's not, then you can just say you got to adhere to the dimensional requirements. So everybody just has their own individual lot of land that they can play on, and there's no common open space.
Right. So think something like a basketball court or a playground or something along that line.
Like a little dog park is
Yeah.
what a lot of these places do, or they'll do like a little tot lot.
Right, and I don't mind doing that, but I think it's hard to, without seeing the design, to say, this is what percentage. You know, we have an open space bylaw that says if you save open space land, you can have smaller density in dimensions. I didn't look at that right now,
And
but
that is where I got the 35% number from. Which, but I mean, again, that bylaw I think only is listed as for the residence A and B, not residence C districts. But I was kind of looking at of like, well, what if they had to, because that like allows for I think more units than it would typically if you protect the open space. And I was kind of, I didn't have time to go through all the calculations, right? But I was kind of like, what would it be if they were doing that kind of project on this site?
right.
So I've written these type of bylaws in the past, open space community bylaws.
Mhm.
So typically what you do is you hold steady something. So it would be a lot of times they're condo type developments. So that's where you're talking about the 20-foot distance between buildings for firefighting purposes. You're talking about, you know, a maximum height of 35 feet. You're talking about the types of units you would find acceptable, single family duplex townhouses. And then you may identify like a minimum frontage. You may not, especially in a condo. And then you identify an open space calculation. So usually what I recommend is 50% of the parcel. But obviously, if you're in an 80,000 square foot district, then you have to go to like 40,000 square foot lots in order to make it feasible to protect 50% of the parcel.
And when they do that, sometimes they put a conservation restriction too, right, on the open space,
Absolutely, absolutely,
or they'll
always.
get developed later down the road.
Yeah, and then you know, you put somebody in charge of the conservation restriction. Sometimes you have trouble with people putting their swing sets and their gardens and you know, stuff like that in the open space area. So it is important to do enforcement. Usually the neighbors rat out each other, which is interesting. When that happens, people are putting their sheds in the open space or swing sets.
In this one, they might have to put the sewer in the open space. If they do a common sewer, but maybe they won't need it.
So I guess in the bylaws that I've written, I've always just kind of left it flexible. So I've said, you know, you can vary the dimensional requirements subject to the approval of the planning board. but these are the minimum standards that we will consider.
That sounds, I think that makes sense.
So I guess what I would think might make sense is to put what the current requirements are, and then say something like, we would maybe we would like to see some common open space, and these requirements can be flexible as long as the fire chief is okay with it, basically.
I would just specify, I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna want
Okay.
20 feet between structures. So I would just say the structures can be no closer than 20 feet.
Okay.
Do you want to specify a maximum height?
I think we
I
should
mean,
stick with our maximum height.
so with 35 feet, would that be like, I mean, if you were building an apartment building, would that be like 2 or 3 stories? That
It can be three stories.
okay.
That would be the absolute max.
And yeah, the only thing I was kind of, I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on the height thing, but if we were changing that again, I don't know if that would change the fire department's recommendations.
To me, I really stand strong in sticking with what we have, and if the developer wants to come in with something new, we work on the design. And I feel like if we try to work it out in our head tonight to put
Yeah.
in a letter, we're just guessing on what we want to see. But when they come in with an idea, then we say, oh, okay, then maybe we wouldn't mind 40 feet there. We wouldn't mind 15-foot setbacks there. Or maybe the rear setback is going to change and not the front setback. Like, I feel like we should do the 4 units per acre and then just say we're willing to work with what you bring forward. Like, I feel like we can't design it in our heads in advance for a letter. But saying that we're open to working with you and there can be a reduction in density and dimensional.
I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is that, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to make it, we sort of, this is going to be housing, right? One way or the other, it's going to be housing.
Mhm.
And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, hey, we understand this is going to be housing. We understand that, this is why you're buying the property. My concern would be if we don't put anything in here, right? They can just go in front of the ZBA and ask for a dimensional variance and go through that process, right? There's nothing stopping them from doing that. And if they do that, now we've lost any chance to work with them.
Think so. I mean, we're supposed to meet with them before they even go to auction. Like, I hope they meet with Lori. I don't think they'd go right to the ZBA because they know that planning boards or whoever's in charge, this can be a development agreement. This is different because it's state-owned property that's being auctioned off. And I think they know that there's wiggle room here, that we can allow things that you normally couldn't allow
But they
with an
don't,
agreement.
but they don't know that if we don't put it in the letter,
Well, that's
right?
why we're
What our
gonna
wiggle
say
room
we're,
is.
but how, just say we're open to negotiation. I think they know that they can negotiate whatever. Like, I think if we try to set the negotiation in advance, it's just more confusing
Well,
because
I
we're not
guess,
building it.
I mean, like the way it was currently written now, because of it says like, oh, and follow these dimensional requirements. It seemed like that is we as like that's what we want them to do, not an invitation to negotiation. It's more of a, this is where our line is. And I like to make kind of clear, I guess, that like some of those requirements aren't necessarily what they're not our hard lines, I guess. That these are what the requirements are, but they, I guess, are flexible. Although, yeah.
Yeah, the way I wrote it is I was intending to tell them how flexible you were willing to be. So that was my intent there. My intent wasn't to say, this is it. And it was kind of to say, this is like, if you go above this or beyond this, then it's a no. So this is the line in the sand, like Bill had said. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I can just put the existing requirements and just say that the planning board is open to varying the density and dimensional requirements, um, through negotiation process. And
I
just leave it completely open-ended.
I guess, I mean, something that I felt like we should express in the letter would be like why we would want to negotiate
You could say that
requirements.
if it is determined to be in the best interests of the town.
Okay.
Can you make changes to it now? Because I feel like we've had so much discussion and made so many changes. I don't know what this is gonna look like. And this is due in 3 days, so.
So it's my understanding. So the first kind of point of disagreement has to do with, I'm going to bring that letter back up so I can see it. So Carter was suggesting to delete my sentence that says, given significant unmet local demand for starter homes. Amy wants to keep that sentence in. So I just need to know, I need two of you to tell me whether I should leave this in or take it out.
Well, I think the part of that I'd not sure about is the we prefer part. That I guess like the sentence is fine, but maybe reword that last part of it, the second kind of half of that.
So what I would ask is if we leave the section up above that where it says, given Northborough's need for housing for young adults, families, empty nesters, and seniors, do we really need that other section?
Right, it's
Right.
redundant, so.
It's redundant, right? Because we're already
So-
stating it above it.
I think, I mean, I guess the difference between the two, at least in my view, is that the one Lori wrote is more based off of like how we assess the market demand versus mine is maybe more of a that's what I think the town needs as opposed to what's supported by the markets, I guess.
Lori, I have multiple monitors. Would it help if I shared it instead of you? That way you can.
I have it printed out as well. I gotta share it again. I don't know what happened. It just shut down. Apparently it really shut down because it's no longer up in my thing here.
I can pull it up and make changes too.
All right, I got it.
I think we should just make the changes now so we all see the final.
Oh boy. It's giving me trouble. Hold on.
For the bottom, Carter, it said it was signed by the chair. I mean, we could list the individual people. I guess in a lot of our memos, they're usually signed by the chair. But if we want for this one, because it's going to the state, we could all put our names on it. I was thinking if the ZBA was on it too, then we would list the planning board and the ZBA, but
Well, and then my other thought was if I was suggesting a bunch of changes that were accepted and you didn't agree with them, if you wanted to be the signature.
All right, so I have it back up. Can you folks see it?
yep.
Yes.
All right, so I just need to know what to do with this sentence. We prefer construction of up to 25 units in townhouses, et cetera, and the next sentence.
Well, I guess we're not putting the 25 units.
Right.
Well, I could blend these two
Right.
sentences
Right.
together.
Yep. And you can add to the second sentence too about the preferring the common open space.
So I could say, given significant unmet local demand for starter homes for young adults, families, and empty nesters looking to downsize, we prefer construction of townhouses, small apartment buildings, or small cottages that will share instead of small apartment buildings, we could just say multifamily
Mm,
or small cottages that share the property with common open space and private or community gardens. And
The
then I
one
can
thing-
add in the 4 dwelling units per acre in there somewhere too.
Because our inclusionary zoning in RC doesn't include apartments. So
It does
are we,
include townhouses though, I
yeah,
believe.
townhouses. It doesn't
So-
include apartments, so,
Townhouses are multifamily.
yep.
Yeah, I think that works what you had, Lori.
Okay, so once again,
The one other change, just that's if you make that change, 2 sentences in a row start with given and maybe replace a word with something else.
Is it too hard, Lori, just to type it now? Like, do you have a keyboard there? Like, can you just update it?
I can do that.
Or is it tricky?
Okay. You didn't use the track changes tool.
Is there a different way that you wanted me to show the changes that sometime you can explain? Because I'm not sure I understand how to do that.
There's a track changes tool.
Okay.
So if you go up to review,
Mhm.
and then it says track changes and you click on all markup. I
Okay.
don't know if you can see what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
So it says all markup and then the track changes should appear. So you got to click on this thing where it says filter all markup. Usually
Okay.
it says track changes there.
Okay.
I don't think I do it that way either.
Nope, you don't.
'Cause then sometimes isn't there like too much? I don't know.
Well, it makes it easier because then I can just accept them instead of clicking.
I guess we'll
Clicking
have to
on
have a
it.
practice. We'll do it on a sample. Carter and I will edit something. We'll
Okay.
track changes and then we'll see if it works.
It's easier too because you get to see what you're going to delete before you delete it. So it's a good way to compare, what you're changing things to.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add at a maximum density of 4 units per acre. Okay.
I had just another general question that I'm not sure we have an answer to, but with the new like ADU rules, how would that work with 4 units per acre? Would that be like if they were building a neighborhood of single family homes of 4 per acre, could they then also build, 1 ADU on each of those?
So it depends on the configuration.
Mhm.
So if it's done in a condo development, then the entire development only gets one ADU. If it's
Okay.
built in a subdivision,
Mhm.
then each lot can potentially have an ADU.
Okay.
So are you guys happy with this sentence now?
Yep.
And if you don't like starter homes, I can just call it small.
The only reason why I use starter homes is because that's the next push by the state. They want the towns to do starter homes. So I thought by using their term, then it's called 40Y. It's a new thing on their affordable housing.
The only
Yep.
thing that makes me pause is it's not a starter home if it's for empty nesters.
Right.
Well, we have the empty nesters in the previous sentence, right?
And
Yeah.
now it looks like we have redundancy though.
Yeah.
Those sentences have to be combined too.
Which ones you're talking about?
Well, given Northborough's need for inexpensive housing, which we're gonna change inexpensive,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
We're getting rid of inexpensive, right?
Mhm. Housing for young adults, families, empty nesters, and seniors, and the town's desire to limit sprawl. The towns. We are happy to work with the future development on a project.
So then we can just say instead of given,
And we were gonna cross out that meets different requirements, wasn't that? Then you can say we're happy to work on a project that will help meet significant unmet local demand for starter homes. Well, we don't want to list it again.
what I think we can say is significant unmet local demand for starter homes for young adults, families, and empty nesters looking to downsize. Leads us to prioritize construction of townhouses. How's that? Oh, I see what you're saying. It's pretty much says that up there.
Mm. And were we gonna get rid of the meets different requirements part? Did we talk about that?
Where are you?
I'm
And
back at the first one. Given Northborough's need for housing for young adults, families, empty nesters, and seniors, and the town's desire to limit sprawl,
So
we are
what we
happy
can
to work
say
with the
is
future development.
desire to
Now we're all confused.
yeah. I'll figure that out.
Well,
I'll combine those sentences somehow. I
maybe
just want to
something
think about it.
or
Right, I think that's offline. You can think about it. Maybe you can send it to us and we can
Yeah, that's fine.
work out if there's anything that we think.
Okay, so then I'm gonna change this to list our existing requirements.
Except for, you said there's no common space.
Right,
then
so I'll
maybe
delete
add-
that.
Or maybe something like if you go back to the sentence we were working, I mean, you can split those into two sentences. One talking about the demand and need for the housing. So this is what we think should get built. And then because we want to encourage the, sustainable limit sprawl, encourage sustainable development practices, we would encourage any developer to include common open space or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
I don't want it to be like a giant run-on sentence.
Mhm.
So it'll probably still be two sentences. I just want to think about it, so it sounds good.
I guess my point is we can put the request for the common open space rather than lumping it with the existing dimensional requirements, which it would differ from. You would just include that as a sentence that's something that we would like.
We could put it down here too.
And up at the top, I don't know if we should mention this, the tie-in with Westboro. I mean, we can. But we had the Westboro delegate on and she didn't think Westboro was open and they wouldn't be open to allowing Northborough to tie into their sewer. I mean, we could try to work it out. But is that worth even putting in? Or do we just have the bullet that there's no town sewer? Right there.
I mean, I guess it was more. I thought it seemed like it made sense to put in, just also just saying of like it wouldn't be realistic for Northborough to extend its sewer, but if they wanted it, it'd probably have to come from Westboro.
Well, I think this puts the onus on Westboro.
Mhm.
It commits Westboro to nothing and it commits Northborough to nothing.
Mhm.
I just wanted to list it as a fact that it's not on sewer, just so they know. Because, yeah, the Westboro delegate was like, I think it would be a tall order if Westboro to allow Northborough to hook in, but maybe they would. I just didn't know if we were allowed to put it out there. To pull Westboro into it. I guess it doesn't matter either way, they'll find out when they ask.
So I'm going to change the sentence so that it just says the following is the current density and dimensional requirements for the residential C district.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I do think DCAM was interested in knowing that. So they could let the developers know. And somewhere there you could add, in one of these sentences, like Carter said, you could add that common open space is something.
Or yeah, I mean something like or even just like we would like common open space and um if changing the dimensional requirements can assist that or something, I don't know.
Well, the last paragraph is where we talk about changing the dimensional
Mhm.
requirements. So maybe we should include here a sentence about also considering modifying the dimensional requirements if there's a common open space set aside of at least 25%.
Okay.
And I'm just going to put notes in here as a reminder.
So that would be 25% of the 5.4 acres.
Yep. That's probably be the most you can ask for because it's such a small area. We're only 5.4 acres.
So it'd be like 1.4 acres would be open space. Or common. It's also good to write May, how you are, because if it doesn't work, then it doesn't lock us in.
Mhm.
Okay,
But I
so
think the main thing that
I
did
might
come out of,
adjust the wording a little bit.
I think the main thing that came out of our discussion with the state, though, is that 4 could be the maximum. We could do more. 4 could be the maximum. So I think that allows, working with the developer. If it was just open where they could do whatever they wanted, then there would be no give and take. But it sounds like as long as we allow 4 per acre, then the majority of our bylaws stand. But if we want to work on a development agreement, we could. Now, Lori, would you reach out to, I know there are some developers that you know in town. Would you reach out to them? And are you going to tell them about the auction or do you think there's a website? I kind of had asked her today, like, how did the developers find out that this is going to auction?
Yeah, there are developers that so it'll be listed on the same websites that we post our ads on. So like possibly goods and services, but Compass. And so there are certain developers that just hang out there. They get the publication, so they'd see it that way.
You had mentioned, though, there are a couple of good developers in town, so there's one that you said is doing a parcel pretty soon. You might want to mention it to him.
I
I don't know if
can.
it might be something that, a local developer would be interested in. Because it
I
is
certainly
double
can.
what our regular bylaws allow as far as
Right.
density.
Yep, I've worked with a couple of good developers through the years who may be interested.
And maybe, I don't know how Del Webb would ever hear about it if they would.
Well, I suspect they may already know because we've been contacted by, oh, not we, Vinnie Venacasa has been contacted by somebody who lives in that Del Webb neighborhood. So if they're talking about it, then chances are Del Webb knows about it.
One thing the state did say is that we can't require parking. But I mean, this is not on any sort of commuter line, so I'm sure the developer would want to put parking in because I don't know how else the people would get back and forth to work.
Unless the state wants to add a bus line through town.
The WRTA won't handle it, I don't think. So even though there are some things that the state is stipulating, it wouldn't work in all towns, so I'm sure the developers will know, hopefully will know what works in certain towns and doesn't. And that's kind of a remote area where you would need a car, I would think.
All right. So let me wordsmith this and I'll send it out tomorrow morning. And you folks just respond separately to me.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Do you want to pull up the
Alrighty.
minutes while you're here, or do you want me to pull up the minutes?
I've already got them ready to go.
Might as well go there. I was fine with Carter. I read Carter's changes. I think they were fine.
Yeah, so I just blended the two together.
Yeah. I had some changes. Carter had some changes.
So Amy's changes are the underlined ones, and Carter's are the bright red ones.
Did you have a chance to read them, Bill?
I did. Yep.
Okay, and I know Carter did because he made changes. Do you have any other changes, either of you?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope, sounds good.
So let
Alright.
me show you the magic of the track changes. Okay, so I click on and invited. And then all I have to do is click on acceptance insertion. And the even more beautiful thing is under review, under accept, I can accept all changes. And there we go. Look at how fast that was. So,
so if I was, so say you're me and you're gonna change something, how would you do it? So wherever your clicker is right there, you can type Amy or whatever.
so what you're
You-
doing is you go into review
Mhm.
and then you see track changes. So you're clicking on track changes. And then it gives you, it's not saying what it usually does. Oh, over here, it says all markup.
Mhm.
So you can do simple markup or you can do all markup. I always like to do all markup. And then under accept all changes, and stop tracking, or you can reject all changes. And
What
then
did
it
you
just
say about the
magically does
filter?
it. So when you guys do it this way, then I have to manually go in. I have to change the color to black. So it's a little bit more work for me. I mean, it's not too arduous. But it can be, depending upon
Yeah.
how many changes there are.
You said there was something about the filter. We don't have to click
Oh,
that.
yeah, normally you don't see that where it says filter all markup.
Mhm.
It just has track changes and then you click all markup. So
All
it's,
right, so we don't have to click it,
no.
the filter.
The track changes is what you want to click. And then you want to click on the all markup and then the accept. You have all these options.
We'll give it a shot.
Okay?
Okay, hearing no changes, do I have a motion to accept the June 17th minutes as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Okay, roll call vote, Bill Pierce,
Aye.
Carter Brannon,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So we're all set with the minutes. Lori, do you want us to vote on the letter? We don't really need to.
I don't think you need to, especially because I'm gonna make some more edits. I'm gonna send it out to you guys. And then you're each gonna tell me if you want additional changes, and then I'll just send it out. And I'll send CC you guys on the final version so you can see any additional changes that you members wanted to make,
Okay,
if that's okay with everybody.
sure. Okay, so next on the agenda, I also had discussion of warrant articles for a special town meeting. There is gonna be a special town meeting, most likely in the fall for White Cliffs. And during design review, there have been some housekeeping bylaw changes mentioned. So I was gonna bring those forth for a town meeting in the fall. They're minor housekeeping, like talking about a bowling alley versus a bowling lane, just certain word changes. And also the sign bylaw might have to be renumbered because the numbering is off. But since Anthony and Millie aren't here, I could bring them up in August.
And also, Amy, I just got an alert from the town clerk saying that the Attorney General approved many of our articles. But I haven't opened the document yet. Sometimes they approve them with notes.
Mhm.
So I will send that out to you tomorrow. I didn't want to send it out to you today because I hadn't seen it yet.
Okay. So, and also board members, if you want to think about in October, I mean, for August, sometimes we do have bylaws that we start talking about for next year. So if there's anything that stands out that somebody wanted to bring up, maybe we could discuss that in August also.
One of the other things I remember from some of the conversations about the White Cliffs in the past, were there any zoning changes that would need to be made to allow whatever is going
It
into
might.
White Cliffs?
Yes. Yep. So I talked to Stephanie about what they want to do. So the options are either there has to be a zoning change brought forth at the same town meeting, so the special town meeting, or the alternative is to go with the variance option from the ZBA. So I don't know what she wants to do. Of course, you know, you're putting it in the hands of the five individuals who are eligible to vote on the ZBA, or you're putting it in the hands of the entire town meeting. So stay tuned. She hasn't told me which path she prefers at this point.
You could always do the ZBA first, say August or September, and if that doesn't work, then go to town meeting. Hedge your bets.
True.
When do we have a timeline for when the town meeting will be?
So the last I spoke to them, Stephanie, she was thinking it would be sometime in October,
Okay.
which means that they really need to pull the trigger on it really soon, especially if the intent is put the zoning article on there. Because the planning board is obligated to hold a public hearing on that article, any zoning related changes. So we don't have a lot of time, given the advertising takes 3 weeks.
Okay,
So I'll follow up with her and see if maybe they've had more discussions behind the scenes. Maybe the select board has a preference. I don't know.
sounds good. All right, I'm just closing down my minutes. I want to bring up the agenda. I know on the agenda, we usually have A&Rs, lot releases. None of those for tonight.
We have nothing, although, just so you know, Millie's project is gonna be ready to go to design review committee. So that would mean that they will likely file some applications within the next couple of months, I would imagine.
So for anybody who
that'll be
wants more
interesting.
information, it will be July 31st. They'll be in front of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exciting.
Yes, I can't wait to see the building she's proposing.
Yeah. Okay, does anyone have any subcommittee updates?
Nope.
No, mine only one was the changes for town meeting in the fall. And then it says next planning board is August 19th, ZBA July 22nd. Anything on the ZBA for July 22nd?
July 22nd, we have 19 East Main coming back.
Oh, okay,
And then the meeting after that, we have 129 Maple Street coming back under a remand.
oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Will they go back in front of design review? Are there any changes? to
There are
129 Maple?
changes. I don't believe that they are required to go back to design review.
Oh, okay, so they actually went to court?
They did. So this is a settlement under the remand.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't, it was kind of, we settled before we started the trial.
Mhm. Oh, okay, so the town, all right, so it was between the two parties, it wasn't the court really? The two parties hashed it out?
Correct.
and they decided not to go in front of design review.
Correct. I believe it's not a requirement under a remand.
Well, it depends on what they decided.
So there are
It's a good
certain
point.
requirements, there are certain things that the ZBA agreed to. And
Mhm.
then there are other things, kind of like if you think about the 150,000 square foot development, the warehouse, the distribution center. So they still have to go through site plan review, so there are certain things to be worked out. However, the building design, they have agreed to in theory.
Okay. Okay, and that's for August?
That's for the meeting in August, yes.
Okay, and master plan implementation committee meeting August?
Yep, we were hoping to meet in July, but we weren't able to get a quorum. I'm still waiting to hear back from one person, so it's not clear yet if we'll have a quorum for August. But we'll see.
Mhm.
If not,
Sounds
they'll
good.
go into September.
Sounds good. Okay, does anybody else have anything they wanted to add?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay, roll call vote, Bill Pierce,
Aye.
Carter Brannon,
Aye.
Amy Pertzke's and I. All right, Lori, we'll see you in August.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, you
Good night.
too. Night.